Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Mindful Warrior podcast. I'm Nate Jackson, one of your hosts. Here in this room with me is my other host, Eben Britton. What up, dog?
What's up, my brother?
Eben's brother Gus is here again. What's up, Gus?
Yo.
And Jed is behind the ones and twos. That's Jed. And we have a very special guest today, a good friend of mine, a guy I played with in Denver for like 3 or 4 years, lives in Colorado, goes by the name of Jake Plummer. Jake, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm just excited to be on your podcast, you guys. This is fun. I did a podcast for a while, so it's always fun to be on other people's podcasts.
Are you not doing Snakes Takes anymore?
I kind of laid off for a little bit.
Yeah. Were you over it?
No, I liked it, but I feel better not having to do it.
Right.
Not having to put it together, but that's also being lazy somewhat too. So We'll see where it goes.
All right. We'll take your little hiatus, and then if you want to join us whenever you wanted to wet that pod whistle, man.
Yeah.
You come on here. Actually,
you're more than welcome.
Ironically, Jake is one of the best whistlers I know. That's not a joke.
Yes. Thank you, man.
Can we hear a little solo?
Sure. Let me see. I'll give you one of my favorites. That's Cherry.
Oh,
get it?
Beautiful.
It's
I got
really
chills,
nice, like
man.
a songbird.
I saw the
Chariots
dudes
of
running.
Fire is just the start. I can do the whole thing if you want, but it goes on and on. So
Unbelievable.
That's a nice little teaser. Maybe we'll end the show with like the full version.
All right.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to have you on the show because it is called The Mindful Warrior, and we want to bring on athletes, buddies of ours, to tell their story in their own words, in their own kind of arc, in their own journey, which we think is very interesting and needs to be told more, you know? And we all have our own paths. We all have our own process, our own families, but we have a lot of things in common. We're trying to bridge those and figure out what those are. You were born in Boise, right? Idaho?
Yes, born and raised in Boise, Idaho, an Idaho spud.
And you got brothers, a couple older brothers.
2 older brothers, and I was real lucky to have 2 older brothers that not necessarily love me every minute of every day, but would include me when they played sports nonstop. I mean, not organized sports like we talk today, but like, hey, we're stuck here at this place. There's a wall over there. We have a ball and some chalk. Let's make a game up. You know, that was my life growing up, having 2 brothers. So
That's awesome.
had a lot of fun. Yeah.
And that's handball, which you sort of just described, which it kind of runs in your family, right?
Yeah, handball, exactly. Again, a sport I love to introduce to people. It's a rough sport. I'm not playing a lot of it right now just because my body doesn't like it when I get to playing too much of it, but a great sport for all sorts of cross-training purposes, hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness, mental toughness. Yeah, grew up playing a lot of handball amongst many other sports.
I love that you just described handball in all of those terms. It creates mental toughness. It's great for change of direction. I mean, you would never think that about a game like handball.
Yeah, people get it confused with racquetball. And I'll tell most people racquetball, you can tell right away that if it's a handball guy, there's 9 or 10 of those guys are pretty lean, pretty agile. There'll be a few in there that are bigger, but in racquetball, it comes about half the guys have beer bellies, and they're whacking the ball around. So handball and racquetball are big time different sports. Extremely demanding. You have to use your non-dominant side, that being my left. So Nate can tell you, I'd rip slant routes and fade routes in pregame, pat and go with my left hand just because it was fun to throw the ball with both hands.
That's
so
insane. That's
it
awesome.
develops you. It's a great sport. Yeah.
So that could be a good training method for football players to do other sports, right? I feel like football players are trained in such an overly focused and specialized way that it makes them non-adaptable athletes, easy to get hurt. Guys get hurt so easily. I think if you threw a soccer ball out there during the off season and one day they picked teams and they played soccer against each other, or play some basketball, or like you're saying, play handball. Why is it this got so specialized?
I don't know, and it takes away that moment in time that we've all had where you're on a team and maybe wow, we're outmatched. The guys I have aren't maybe as good as those dudes that got picked ahead of them, but let me see if we can raise this level up and compete and maybe even win the game just by building confidence without a coach, without rules to follow, without all this being overanalyzed and then tweeted about and then put on your YouTube huddle video. It just the play, the going out. How about skipping down a river and not getting your feet wet? If you can do that, then you're pretty agile. You should be able to run through a pile of bodies and not sprain your ankle. So I think it's hurting the game by causing more injuries too, with the specialization in touching cones, timing it, and then publicizing it in a magazine for a coach to read. What coach is reading that crap? Because I don't want a guy that can touch cones. I want a guy that grows up in the woods and plays and isn't structured necessarily.
Right. And we should start our own league, dude. The Forest Football League, man.
That'd be dope.
Where we actually play on uneven ground, and it's like a weird terrain, but you're actually trying to move the ball forward. That'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, uneven ground. I mean, that's my first experiences with football. Was playing at the fairgrounds in Boise, Idaho. We had to walk the field and pick up beer cans and trash and nails and stuff that fell out of people's cars just so we could play on our field. So it's a lot different when we grew up.
And how old were you when you were doing that?
I started at 12, which when I think back was insane. My mom didn't want me to, but I begged and pleaded, and she let me. And, I was lucky, didn't get hurt bad all through my days. But, yeah, 12 years old.
So your dad, was he a football guy?
No.
Brothers, your older brothers?
They played in high school, and we watched every single football game that ever was on our TV ever.
Right.
Or wherever we were.
And you became a quarterback right away?
Not really. Just I became the guy that was hard to catch when the ball was in his hand, running it.
Right.
So I always wanted to be a running back.
Yeah, which is like what I've been envisioning lately. This like a different kind of football where the positional lines are blurred, and so a lot of guys can throw, a lot of guys can run, a lot of guys can catch. And so like if you're moving with the ball, you see a guy open, you throw it to him, and you can even space the lineman out. Maybe make a couple different pockets. I mean, I feel like this centralized pocket on this one quarterback who's so vulnerable, and you get 300-pound dudes around him, and everything's just bearing down like a hurricane on this one flashpoint, which is where you keep the most valuable dude on your team. It just doesn't seem like an effective way. If you spread it out with different dudes doing different shit, I don't know, man. What do you think about that?
I think it's a beautiful thought, man. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but my brother, one of my brothers, Eric, who's just a mad sports fan, can remember everything and all the players and the teams that won the championship in hockey in '82. He's got that kind of sports memory. He wonders why you don't sign on a team with say Phillip Rivers, a guy who can throw it downfield but isn't real mobile, and put Tim Tebow on one side and Kaepernick on the other.
Right.
Lined out wide with a couple receivers in front of them,
right,
and three linemen. What would they do? You'd have three dudes out there that knew how to do something when the ball was in their hands. They weren't scared to do what needs to be done to win ball games, make plays.
The hard part about that is you got to actually practice it to see if it works, and so you got to actually implement it. And football's so regimented, like it's what the expectations are. Like you said, all the kids are watching the games, and so those NFL formations, the way they talk, the way they posture, that all trickles down, and we all play football the exact same way. But the object of the game is just to move the ball forward. You can get as creative as you want, but it's become so fucking predictable. But I don't know. That's getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. When you played in high school, it was not as predictable. You had more control over your product. You'd run around and make plays, right?
Yes.
I read about you that you were a punter as well for your high school.
Yeah, I played that. I played the punting position. I like to hold on snaps. Played receiver when I first got up to varsity. Got in the game a couple times, caught some balls. So I just loved playing ball. I mean, recess for me growing up was, hey, who wants to go play 500, tackle 500? Let's go. And we'd go out, throw the ball to the group at the end there, and whoever got it, 8 guys would try to tackle him. So
we call that smear the queer.
But we used to call it that, but we had to change the name, so we called it tackle 500.
Dude, I actually think that smear the queer is an LGBT empowering game, and I'll tell you why. When you throw the ball up in the air, the guy who catches it is a queer, right? He is the queer, and he has to avoid being tackled. And the longer he avoids being tackled, the bigger the hero he is. And so the most badass queers are the heroes of their town, and the best queers of all make it to the NFL, which explains why there's so many gay people playing in the NFL. That was a bit I was working on for a while.
That's why we changed the name, man. That's why we changed it to Tackle 500.
Right, I feel you. That's probably smarter.
Yeah.
Make 500 in grade school. You can make 5,000 in junior high. You make 50 grand in college, and then you'll make so much money in the pros that you don't even have to play, and you'll still get paid millions.
Right. And so when you went to Arizona, well, first of all, why did you go to Arizona State out of high school? Did you get recruited out of there? Did you have a connection there? At what point were you like, yeah, I'm going to Arizona?
I went to a camp before my junior year, the Stanford quarterback receiver camp, and stood out in a couple ways that got me noticed by their coaching staff. Then word spread, so I got recruited by a lot of schools after that. But Arizona State was, from the get-go, one of the first major schools to ever pursue me. They said right away, first day they could call me in the summer, they called and said, we want to offer you a full ride scholarship. And so out of all those teams and all those coaches that came to visit me and we talked to, only one told me that if I came there, we would win a national title, and that was Bruce Snyder. So Arizona State was really when I got down to it, and I thought, what do I want to do? I want to win a goddamn national title, right? I want to win a national title and go to whatever happens, that's what happens. So went there, and we damn near won it in 96. We almost won the national title. So he was a great coach. He had a great coaching staff. Many of them are now coaching across the league. One of my best coaches ever, Hugh Jackson, is now head coach in Cleveland. So it was a great decision on my part at 18, a pretty heavy decision to make, but I feel all in all, we had that one really good year. U of A beat us 3 years in a row, which sucked.
Whoa.
But
that's right.
Wow, 3 years.
Bear down, baby. Bear down.
Yeah, no one remembers that about my career because we had that year in 96 that just was so amazing, transformative for the school, for the program, for every fan in that valley. That was a big year. So all in all, good decision to go to ASU. Yeah.
Did you guys? How far away is ASU from Arizona? Like
hour and a half, 2 hours, 2 hour
yeah,
drive.
not that. Now the freeway is like huge going all the way down. So you get there in about an hour. Yeah, an hour and a half, hour 15.
Yeah, it's not far. Right through the desert.
Do you guys ever go back to Arizona?
I go back every year. About you, even?
Yeah. Sorry, Jake.
I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. It looks like even on paper, it's my cross to bear.
Yeah.
I haven't been back in a little while. I don't know. I could go back, but
no reason.
No reason right now.
Right. How many years did you end up staying in Arizona, Jake?
After my 4 years at Arizona State, 6 more with the Cardinals. Right. And since then, I've just gone back to visit. I got enough of the desert. I like it out there. Got a lot of great friends. And
the desert is such an extreme environment.
Yeah.
I was really drawn to it for sure. It's it's wild.
I got my feel of it. It's fun, but Tucson's different though than Tempe. I mean, that's country desert down there. Which,
yeah.
It was a good. They recruited me also, but Arizona State won out.
While all this was going on, man, were you like totally in love with football? Like, were you like, I'm doing everything I really ever wanted to do?
Ow, ow, ow.
Or were you like, swept up in the moment? I mean, did you wish you were playing another sport or doing something else? I mean, did you long to just be playing handball on an island with a Corona?
I did, and when football was done, I would usually go do that, play handball on an island with a Corona. And you know me, man, when the football was on, it was on. That was it, 100%. And I was thankful enough to have the ability to control, other urges and make sacrifices to when it was time to focus on football, I focused on football. But when it was time that football was done, which was after a game, I didn't sweat whatever happened in the game because I wanted to go relax. That whole week buildup was just so stressful. Football when it was on was my life, but when it was off, I was up in the mountains. You've been there in the Sawtooth with my family. I was out playing golf, playing handball. In the summers, I was playing hoops. Whenever I could, I played hoops in the off season. That was like all I did to stay in shape. That and handball and biking and I lived my life. So football was football when it mattered. When it was time, but when it wasn't, I was out of there. I would hate it now because they want so much of your time to be devoted to football. But pros was a little different. You had to get ready. You had to get your body in shape. I definitely would have done it a lot different if I could go back now, training in the off season for sure.
Like how?
Oh, I would have stayed away from weights completely and just really done a lot of more natural stuff like climbing, rock climbing, chin-ups, push-ups, jump rope, becoming so more cardiovascularly able to just go. I hated having to dig down and get a third or fourth wind in the fourth quarter of a game and just wonder, like, how the fuck am I going to make another play? How can I even stop breathing hard enough to call the play in the huddle? And then it would happen. So I wish I would have spent more time getting in shape and less pushing around weights and trying to be fucking macho.
Right. And holistically and naturally, you're talking about, I mean, of course, we all are into the cannabis, the green stuff that grows from the ground as part of the physical healing process and maybe even training process for some people. But when did you discover that was good for your kind of athletic process, or how did that go with you?
It never was much about my athletic process when I, first tried smoking marijuana. Like most kids, it was in college, not during football, during the off season, and it wasn't something that I did all the time. It was really only a few times that I can remember at certain occasions. Again, like I said, football was important enough to me that I wanted to make sure that what was being told and what could happen when you smoke marijuana, I didn't want that to creep in and possibly happen to me. So,
which was what was that in the back of your mind?
I'd had a lot of people that I knew that could have maybe gone on to achieve more than they did, and there could have been possibilities that maybe a little smoking had something to do with that.
Right.
For no other reason than that, just it became too much a part of their lives.
Yeah.
Not that it was detrimental, but it just became.
It can be, man.
What they did.
Yeah.
And hey,
I've seen. I mean, you can't overdo anything. Like if you drink too much fucking water, you'll die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now
actually, if you
that,
smoke too much weed, you won't die, which is kind of funny.
You won't.
But it can.
Questioning someone's happiness is what I was going to say. That's me, like, questioning someone's happy, and that's what they're doing. Hey, whatever. But that was my mindset then, and and as I got further along my career, smoking wasn't something I did that much, but it was a form of stress relief, anxiety relief, and after games late in my career, it became part of my routine to decompress and to start the healing process.
Yeah, man, and it was, and now what we're discovering is there's actually something to that. There's a science to it, but we still don't know. We're still waiting to study that stuff. But I want to back up a little bit at Arizona, and you crossed paths with a guy who became a good friend of yours, Pat Tillman, who I kind of knew from a younger age. He was a legend in my town. I grew up in San Jose, and him and his two brothers, but mostly him because he was the oldest, wild man, super buffed. He looked like Tarzan. When I was in high school, playing high school football, we had a passing league tournament one summer, and it was at Leland High School, his alma mater, and he had been at Arizona, but he came back and was just around, and he reffed our game because we needed refs, and he had this long blonde hair, and he took his shirt off. He was all swole. We were just we thought we were just seeing some
Who is this guy?
Yeah, it was amazing. And his younger brothers, obviously spirited like he was, but when we think about the mindful warrior, the guy who realizes his power, who understands it, and who wants to kind of slow it down and not react harshly, but to be powerful and to be accountable and inquisitive about the world and respecting nature and all that. That's what the impression I got of him. I never really knew him, but did you guys meet like freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, and everything you said really, kind of encapsulates what Pat is all about. Everybody that met him, whether you knew him as a teammate like I did and a real good friend since not my freshman year, but sophomore year when he was a recruit and he came to ASU. A guy that looked scrappy with long hair, and he was here at this school where everyone was pimped out, dressed up, and he was wearing just some khaki cargo pants and chill. It was, hey, I'm coming here to get an education and play ball. What do I got to put on the front for? You want me? Here I am. And I could kind of sense that from him, that like me, an undersized dude that probably wasn't supposed to be there, that now had an opportunity to go play D1 ball in the Pac-10. We kind of came in with a fuck you mentality, like, we're going to make this happen. You're not going to stop us. So I could sense that out of him. And through the years, we became really close teammates and real good friends. And I miss him to this day. I sit around sometimes and just think, I wonder what he'd think about some of the shit I'm doing or have said, or what his comments might be about something I did. And, he was just a very insightful dude that definitely cared about his friends, knew how to maintain those friendships and bring out the best in the people around him. And those people are around you in your lives a lot, but he was just real special that he touched so many people.
He was able also to walk away from the NFL for a cause, for a reason.
Jake, what would Pat have thought about cannabis?
That's one of the things I don't know. I think he would be aligned in that, hey, it's your choice. If you want to do it, why be told you can't? If there's no harm in it, and you're not gaining any unfair advantage, you're only looking out for your longevity and personal well-being, then why should you not be able to? I just have a hard time believing he would have been against it. Mm-hmm. And he was a very intelligent dude, very deep thinking guy that would have seen that, anything that benefits people, and there's millions of people that are learning this, should not be regulated or penalized or to be criminalized. It's just like saying working out and eating flax seeds, you shouldn't be able to do that. But if it makes you feel good then and live better, then whose right is it to tell you that? And I think he would have been right along with, maybe not up in front of it, but he wouldn't have given two shits about it. Smoke if you want, but don't put people in prison for it.
Yeah.
I see, him leaving the NFL to fight for his country is definitely a political statement. And, that was back when there weren't a lot of political statements going on in the NFL. We were so dialed in, we had our conscientious objections to what was going on. We would get into discussions, me, you, Kyle, a lot of the guys would get into the passionate discussions about how we might be being exploited, what's going on with this, what's going on with that. We were enlightened behind closed doors, but then you get us out there and it's like, yes, coach, of course. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to show up 5 minutes early for that meeting. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be paying attention, and I'm going to be pretending to take notes. And, I'm going to get my plays right and say, yes, sir. But he wasn't really down with that. He saw above it. And, I think Colin Kaepernick is kind of following in those footsteps in a weird way, even though that's a totally different statement. He's saying fuck the power. He's saying my ideas and humanity is bigger than this league, which really holds guys' brains in a tiny little box, man, and feeds them cliched lines about what the defense of Carolina is going to do this week for us to improve in our red zone third down completion percentage, We can't win like this. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm a human being behind here, and I have beliefs. What do you think about Colin Kaepernick and why he doesn't have a job?
I think he's just riling up the complacent people that are out there, and complacency is a really sad thing that I think Pat showed that, hey, to be complacent, you're wasting your time on earth, to just go along and say, yep, that's how it is. And you don't have to be, a rebel for sure, or Adolf Hitler type. Pat and I had a conversation about him. Pat said Adolf Hitler was a special person. I said, what? We had a big argument, went on and on and on. Well, his idea of special is someone that changes history, that stands out, that makes an impact, whether it be good or bad. That's where the line of special was skewed with me. But Pat was a guy who would just make you, I think maybe he was just messing with me to see if I could argue a point and defend it. And that's just how he was, and complacency wasn't part of his life. And this whole rigmarole of the NFL and the 16-week regurgitation of, like you just said, we got to win the turnover battle, and if we get this our run average up from 3.2 to 3.3, that'll make a difference of, Mark Kistler wrote an article about the Broncos. If they just kick one extra field goal a game, they'll be Super Bowl champs. Mark Kistler, you're a dumb fuck. There's so much more that has to go into that. You have to work your ass off to be Super Bowl champs. You don't have to just kick one more field goal. Yeah, I love his idea. 3 more points.
Yeah, good idea. Score more points, and then you'll win.
Get out of the stat book and go hang out around the players and learn what they really want to talk about, instead of this bullshit that gets regurgitated and nobody is original. And I've been in that. I've worn that suit, man, and you helped me because you told me own your shit. Whatever you say, own it. And I tried to do that, but then when it became repetitive, I had to go, man. It was just, I had to get out of there.
Yeah. And you had to deal with that in real time while as a starting quarterback. I mean, those conversations you had with Pat obviously resonated with you because the way you tried to play your position in that kind of cloistered environment was as a rebel trying to get loose, you know? I mean, you had a lot of clashes with Shanahan because he saw quarterback differently than you. And the coaching establishment, it wasn't just Shanahan. It was all the fucking pressure coming down on you to be a mathematician out there. Not even John Elway, but to, like, you know, execute the offense the way we drew it up last night when we had 5 cups of coffee and we were up in the office sleeping in our sleeping bags, the way we drew it on a piece of paper, you know? And sometimes it doesn't work that way on a football field. And so you growing your beard out, growing your hair out, you know, flipping off the crowd when they were yelling at you. Why can't you flip them off back, right? You got busted for flipping off the crowd after a game.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, fuck you, with my fingers up. It was the one guy that was saying some vile stuff, man. The guy was being really nasty the whole game. And I turn around and he's wearing Bronco gear. So I'm like, what the hell is this? And that's why I just suddenly adjusted my hat and threw the bird out. I didn't know that the camera was right on me. So anyway, we won the game. So we played one of the best defenses in the NFL. That was the Miami Dolphins in 2005, I believe it was. That defense was nasty. And we beat them, man. We had some gritty-ass drives, but that one dude got my bird, man. Yeah.
Hey, he deserved it, man.
Yeah,
I think more guys should do that. Just fight the power a little bit.
And I stood up after and said that was a bad thing to do. I should not have done that, right? I should not have done that in actuality, right? My grandma would have been like,
dude.
Now, Jason, that was the wrong thing to do, you know?
No, grandma would be like, yeah, fuck that guy. It's really the league office that says no, and the PR department. Grandma would be flipping double birds, man.
So here's a double bird grandma story for you. In the black hole in Oakland, one of my favorite places to play. I think I should have been a Raider. I want to show you guys this little snake venom Kenny Stabler's can I got. That's one of his old.
That's badass.
Oh, wow.
The snake. That's where I got my nickname. But I'm warming up pregame and stretching, and I look back. There's this old lady waddling to her seat, and I like, oh man, there's an old lady. I give her the wave. What's she do? Double bird. Fuck you, Plummer. And she was a grandma, so you're right. Grandmas would do it.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing.
It's too much tiptoeing around.
Fandom.
Yeah, the fans. Why did you leave Arizona for Denver? We got to Denver the same year, 2003, right? Is that when you were there? But I got in the middle training camp, so you were already there. But what was the circumstances that led you to leave Arizona?
I re-signed in my second year with Arizona, and it was the first time they had ever done a restructured contract prior to it running out. My rookie contract wasn't up, and they only gave me 4 years on the contract. And at the time, it was the largest contract in the NFL. I did make lots of money playing a game that I would have played for a lot less, but I never told them that.
Well, you earned it, though. You earned that money.
Well, now, I'm thankful for it. It's allowing me to live a very nice lifestyle. But 4 years ran up, and for some reason, they felt like it was my time to go. I didn't fight it. Right. Denver wanted me, and the Chicago Bears wanted me. I was like, sweet, couple sweet cities, teams that have had Super Bowl titles. My chances to go just went way up because in Arizona in '98, we went and beat Dallas in the playoffs. It was their first playoff victory in 50 years.
Damn.
So I think I kind of won a Super Bowl in '98. If you really want to look at the big picture, I mean, damn near put what it would have taken with a team like that. What we accomplished was monumental for that state. So being in Denver was awesome, man. I love the new change and the way they ran their organization. Nate, that's one of the best organizations you could ever play for.
Yeah, it was wild.
Why is that? Because going back to earlier, right? It's all the same fucking lingo. It's all the same plays. Everybody's doing the same structure, but it's always the same teams are, up there playing in the playoffs that are competing at the highest level, really heads and tails above everybody else. You've got the Pats, you've got the Packers, you've got the Broncos, and so what is it? What is it that sets these teams apart?
I think it's the system that's in
Is
place.
it the handling of the people?
Yeah, the ownership, everything that swirls around it that makes the team work. And actually the veterans really help, the guys who have been there who show the way. Like, you must have been kind of relieved when you got there and you had like all these older guys who have been there for a long time where you didn't have to be like, come on guys, I'm here to save you, where you could be like, I'm going to come play some ball with you guys, because it was Rod Smith, Shannon Sharp was there, Ed McCaffrey was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's
Tommy Nalen.
Yeah, Tommy Nalen. Yeah.
Lepsis.
Yeah, all these.
There were some dudes that have been through it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were there for the two Super Bowls. You know, they understood the system running. The town of Denver loved the team and everything we did. Like, you know, when you played for the Broncos, anything you do
it
like
meant something.
You could like have a police officer like walk in on you trying to bury a body. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I play for the Broncos, sir." He's like, "Hi, you should have said something. Let me help you cut this up. Come on, man. You got a game this weekend. You shouldn't be worried about this."
Here's fool, mate.
Yeah.
No, that was totally that. I mean, that was my experience going from Jacksonville to Chicago. You know, it was like I went from a guy who played pro football on a team in the NFL to I was a Chicago Bear.
Right.
You know, it was literally, I mean, the difference in the organization, the whole culture behind it. I mean, Jacksonville was really like a lot of guys were, it was, I mean, like an insane asylum.
I could imagine.
No.
You know, guys weren't necessarily thrilled to be there every day. You know, and that really trickled down from the vets to the rookies, you know, and that kind of breeds this culture.
For sure it does, yeah.
Of, you know, struggle. It breeds this idea of struggle, and then losing is something in itself, you know. That it's such a difficult mental place to get out of, you know, as a team. And then going to the Bears where, you know, they hadn't even really been that good, but to the city, it's, you know, it's the 85 Bears. They won the Super Bowl champs, and then it's this year.
Right.
And we're going to go there.
Right. We're doing that again.
You guys are fucking everything, dude.
Right.
Yeah, you're burying a body out in the woods. A cop comes up to you. Oh, you guys are Bears? Let's, you need an escort back to town?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. But I don't know. I think that's a fascinating thing in the NFL, and that, you know, the hierarchy of teams.
It's because it's like almost that everyone in the city is working to make that team succeed. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to do their part to make them succeed. And if it's like helping a guy do this or feel better about this, and it's like the whole community is trying to make the team win. But which makes it so hard as an individual human being when that team is no longer part of your identity. When you get cut or you release, you're like, no, sorry, man. You're actually going to jail. You're going to jail for life, you know? If I get a police escort through the city now, it's because I'm on my way to jail.
You dropped that ball in the fourth quarter of that one game. You're going to jail now.
Oh, it's not even that. It's just you're not on the team anymore. Like, you used to play, you know? Unless you're, like, you know, a name that, like, people remember. But, like, if you're just a dude who used to play in the NFL, you got to come up with some other purpose in life, some other reason to be respected other than the fact that you used to do something well. You know, and I feel like a lot of, like, the way we brand these football players on leaving, you got to brand yourself as this football player, you know, so show them the ring. I mean, if all you got is the ring and to flash around for the rest of your life, like, where are you going as a human being? You know, and we should be pushing these athletes to shed that fucking shit, to melt that ring down and use it as a fucking bullet to slay the dragon.
Who is the dragon, though?
Unbelievable.
Everyone has their own dragon.
Yeah? Okay, but why slay a dragon? I love dragons.
Friendly dragon.
Eventually you realize that the dragon is your friend.
Right.
Yeah.
You are one with the dragon.
Right.
It's really the journey, I believe.
Yeah.
Or to be thinking that you may be dragon slayer level. If you think you're dragon slayer level, then you're badass motherfucker.
Well, man, I've been down there. I've seen those dragons breathe, man. I've fought them hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, you have to go.
All three of us are badass mofos, and I tell people that. Even though I'm a quarterback, I was a badass mofo. Not because I could do anything crazy, but because out on that field, it's an intense, like, wicked experience that we've all gone through. I never ran down on a kick, Nate.
Have
you, Evan? Have you ran down on a kickoff?
Oh, fuck. No, in high school.
So I mean, that's the thing.
It's
Nate
exhilarating.
experienced it at a crazy ass. I wanted to do that. I always told you I wanted to do that one time in my life as a pro player. I wanted to run down on a kickoff.
It's almost like you're an Apache Indian, like a war cry, like you're hunting. And you're hunting. You gather around the kill and rip it to shreds and dance around it, like while blood just rains down from the sky.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
I got to share this crazy story I heard Leonard Marshall tell last week in Toronto. And it reminded me of, like, the mindset and the feeling of preparing for even practices. But he was a rookie on the New York Giants, and he's in the locker room. It's before training camp practice. And there was some wily old vet sitting in the middle of the locker room. Can't remember the name. Just smoking cigarettes. Smoking one cigarette, just one after another in this very contemplative, meditative state. And Leonard, being a young rookie just out of LSU, in love with the game, like MVP of his team his last year, he comes up to me, he's like, dude, what are you doing? And the guy's like, you don't know what we're about to go do you? And Leonard's like, what are you talking about, man? And the guy's like, we're about to go to battle. You've never been through one of these practices, have you? And Leonard's like, no. He's like, well, this is what I do to get my mind right before it. And I was like, holy shit, man, I remember that feeling. I did other things. I took Adderall, I took pills, I was dipping like a fucking fiend all day before practices. Just one dip after another, just chewing through tobacco. And it's like, because I was just in this mindset of I'm going out to battle every day. I'm going out to a war, and fuck it.
There's so much war rhetoric in the game. Blitz, shotgun, flankers, trenches, gunner, gunslinger, bombs, defense, offense. You got fighter jets going over the stadium.
Gridiron.
Yeah, there's so much war rhetoric that makes us feel like we are actually at war. People are like, shut up, it's fun. It's a game you guys are playing, man. You guys should be high-fiving. All right, man.
Fun.
Yeah, you go run out there, and these 11 guys are going to hunt you down and eat you, and you tell me how fun that is. Fun is not the right word. It's more than fun. But there are elements to it that are,
There's a savagery.
So we obviously found fun in it, We found
of course.
fun in it.
No,
we loved it.
Of course.
No,
it actually is fun. That's the sadistic part about it, I guess.
But you have to be fucked up, a little crazy to love it and to do it at that level.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Every guy in the league is out of his mind to some degree.
And punt returners are even more cuckoo than anybody else. So. Good ones, actually.
Well, they're actually just so zen because all these people are coming at them, and they got to see them, but they're not without looking at them. They're looking at the ball, but they're seeing these things come closer in their peripheral without actually looking at them. That takes so much patience and calmness. I remember one day, like, someone went down before the game, and so Shanahan, like this last it might even have been a regular season game. He's like, "Yeah, we're probably gonna need you to catch kicks today. Be ready." I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, no, dude!
Oh god,
yeah." Because I was out there with him every day practicing, doing the kickoff returns. Because I was an up back on kickoff, so I would often lead a guy up through the whole, be next to him and be his first man. But that guy went down, and so I was about to have to do that, and I didn't have to. I think Rod went out there and did it because Rod was actually such a good punt returner.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
And holding is another one of those times where you're just like, it's nerve-wracking as hell, man, to hold a field goal or extra point. So I love that we're touching on the little intricacies that rarely get discussed about the beauties of the game, which I think are lost in this fantasy bullshit.
Seriously.
And this win-at-all-costs bullshit. Like, the beauty of the game is why we played it, is those little things. The timing on a snap, hold, and a kick is one of the most – it's probably one of my proudest things I did as a player in my entire career was hold extra points and field goals. And it's such an art, and people just overlook it until they fuck it up.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that art. Like, what do you got to think about? What are you looking at? What are you trying to get your kicker? Are you playing mind games with your kicker and the snapper? Are you trying to connect the triangle? Are you trying to water this plant? What are you doing?
Yeah, you're just the middleman that makes sure that your girlfriend back here has everything she needs to have success. Your kicker, they want the ball perfectly, laces out, tilted like this, down quick so they can see it and hone in on it and kick a field goal. And I hailed for one of the greatest kickers of all time, Jason Elam. So it was a lot of fun, and it's just an art. It's just such a timing thing. People don't understand. You do, Nate, with Mike Leach. Man, you were there. You snapped some. I was reaching out over the spot and catching the ball about a foot in front of the spot, catching the laces and having to spin it. And Mike said, dude, stop reaching out for it. Just leave your hand above the spot, catch it above the spot, and the laces will be out. The laces were out every single time if I waited and caught it above the spot, put it down.
Oh, wow.
That's insane, man. That's insane precision that people don't understand.
So he had that much control on the spin versus distance and trajectory, velocity.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yep, exactly.
Unbelievable snapper.
And were there ever any, did you feel more nervous before, big kicks, or was it all just dialed in?
Hell
icy?
Yeah. Hell yeah, when it's raining, too, and you got to dry your hands and hope the ball doesn't squirt through. Yeah, the only good thing is kickers used to be able to condition their balls back when we couldn't, deflate them or scuff them up or whatever. And it was nice. Those were at least a little more conditioned than the game balls. But it was nerve-wracking, man, but I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, now they move the extra point back. You see guys missing it all the time.
Yeah, it makes it, something that just was boring to watch, makes it more interesting now. I think it's a good move.
So Jed, how are we on time?
40 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
We got time,
Yeah,
yo. We got
25.
fucking time. Jake, did you get were you into meditating at all? Meditation, anything like that?
I wish I had done more, but there was a time when in Denver things were getting heavy, and just I was realizing the position I was in was, when I got there, I was like, yeah, whatever, Elway's done his thing. I'm not trying to be him. I just want to be me and do my thing. And it got intense where that thing was, you better win a Super Bowl or you're going to be gone soon. So it started to get pretty heavy. And
who were you feeling that pressure most from? Just the whole thing, or was it was someone actually saying those words to you, or did you just have that kind of tension feeling?
Just believing it and wanting it bad too.
Right.
That
feeling the expectations. Well, yeah, I felt it too as a tight end, as a receiver too.
I didn't want to let you down, Nate. I didn't want to let you down. I didn't want to let Al Wilson down. I didn't want to let those dudes down that were working the same as I was, or at least I hope they were. I was the weight on my back was to perform at a level that would help us achieve that goal, which meant I had to ball out, and I knew that, and it was a stressful thing, but it was fun and worth it going after. But it was called tapping. Back to your question about meditating, Evan, and it was I do it on the sideline, and a guy taught me, you tap spots on your body around your forehead and on your hand, and it would trigger a thought that you would say over and over in your mind as you did this. And my thought, what I would say before games and during games was just, hey, you're going to make plays. Don't focus on the negative and move on, and just things like that, to forget about what I've done and only focus on what was to come, which was the next play, the next series. Break it down to the next single play that we had to run. Make that a successful one, and then you can go to the next one after that. Don't worry about anything else. And that's what I used it for, even to go to sleep at night and tell myself I'd studied enough. I couldn't study anymore. Staying up till 3 a.m. wasn't going to help me.
Why the fuck do they make us study so many words and numbers on a game that has nothing to do with numbers or words? You know what I mean?
I don't.
It's so sad what they do to quarterbacks in these systems. You actually have to study until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be there for 9 hours the next day too, man. It's crazy, dude. So part of your kind of the stressful environment that was creating this tension, was that because you had to study so much and because you were trying to get squeezed into this box that you didn't feel comfortable in as a player?
I guess it was the fact that perfection was expected but very unlikely to ever be achieved. And
so
when I felt
sorry to interrupt you, but
go.
What is perfection to them? If your first read wasn't there and you took off, scrambled a little bit to the left and did a weird little thing and threw it to a guy who wasn't even in your progression and he got 6 yards, is that a success?
Yeah, highly successful.
No, for them though. For them, would they be mad at you?
Oh, no, they wouldn't be mad about that, but they'd be mad if I missed the read on the backside before I went to the scramble, or if I took only 4 steps and not finished my drop before I made a move to scramble. But from their view, maybe they didn't see what I was seeing in that pocket.
Right.
It became perfection is unattainable as a quarterback, because I don't think anyone will ever throw 40 of 40. I mean, there's times you have to throw the ball away, and that's a good play. They're never mad at that. But what would get to weighing heavily on me was leaving the meeting room after a win and being told, we could have won by more, or we should have
right.
put up more yardage, or we should have you should have had a higher completion percentage. And meanwhile, I wish I had at one point, now that I think about it, would have just stood up and said, what the fuck? We won. Why? We won. Yes, we know we didn't do this right. We're pissed about it. You berating us, treating us like we are nobodies. Meanwhile, I'm probably more important than you, because I'm the starting quarterback. So I'm definitely more important than you, QB coach, and probably more important than you, offensive coordinator. And I'm just as equal to you, head coach. Even though you have a lot of power, I'm still as important to this team as you are. You can't assert that as a quarterback, but that's sometimes what I wanted to say was like, shut up, let's go outside and enjoy the sunny day and not harp on the fact that we didn't beat the Chiefs by 21. We beat them by 7, and that's great.
That can super backfire on coaches, I think. Because that happened to us in Jacksonville. That, like, we, especially our O-line one year, I remember, I think it was my 3rd year. I was actually out with an injury. I was recovering from my back surgery, missed the first game. We played the Titans. We won the game. And our head coach was in there just motherfucking the O-line.
After the
win.
win.
If it wasn't for Maurice Jones-Drew, this team wouldn't have fucking done shit yesterday.
Wow.
And just in our O-line individual meeting, just fucking motherfucking every guy on like every play. It was crazy to me. It was like
weird.
Damn.
It's skewed. It's wrong. What they're doing is not right. They're turning us all into like freaked out, stressed out messes when we get out of there, because we'd leave meeting rooms, Nate. You remember we come out of the meeting room and everybody be walking with their head down.
Yeah.
And we won.
Yeah.
When you win in the NFL, you should be excited. You should be ecstatic. You should do what you want to do that night. Have fun. Come in the next day. Yeah, we make our corrections, but don't get berated. And that's what it became for me. It became, damn, I'm not good even now. Shit.
And you know what? You finished your Broncos career 40-18.
That's pretty damn good, man.
And he was
he
was benched in the middle of the season when we were 7-4. And playoff hunt. And then that was the end pretty much for the Broncos, right? And that was pretty much the end of your career.
That was it. I wanted to be done the year before when we went to the AFC Championship game. I was really hoping to win the Super Bowl and then retire. That's really why go further. If that was my boyhood dream to win a Super Bowl and I did it, then why would I go subject myself to that any longer? So I did come back for that last year, and I'm glad I did, because at the end of that, when everything wasn't going right and I got benched, a lot of things were happening that I didn't really care too much with personal life and my family. So I was okay with that decision. It still stung at first, but when I got over it, I enjoyed those last 5 weeks, eating the day before a game.
He was like drinking beer in the meetings with his feet up, like Office Space.
The guys hated me, man. And the Saturday nights I'd be drinking Bud Lights and they'd be pissed off. I said, the chances of me getting in are pretty slim. And if I do, I'll ball out. So I'm having some beers and they'd be pissed off. But hey, I got to sit back and enjoy what I did in the process from in the heat of it, knowing I didn't have to be the guy. And it gave me an appreciation for what I accomplished in my career, to ride the bench those last few years or last few games and to just soak it in and go, God, this is smells and the way it feels to walk into those visiting team locker rooms and people looking at you and like gladiator-esque, right? I mean, we were warriors getting ready to go fuck some people up, and it was fun to watch that from that lens, not being the starting quarterback with all the hopes of today riding on my shoulders.
Yeah, you can't see that when you're feeling that pressure. That's pretty cool that you got to experience that from that point. And you got to do the thing that we all wanted to do but never got to do, is crack open one of those beers at the fucking at our food. Like, they would always have a bucket of beers and the coaches would have a couple.
Oh, they didn't have
after
that.
The last meetings, and none of the players ever would.
They got rid of that when I was there.
Yeah.
I remember some of the vets talking about that, the days when like you'd get on the plane after a game and there was a 6-pack of beers at your seat.
Yeah, that was good.
Every guy.
Those were nice.
We had the flight
Nice
attendants giving them to us in the back, and like we would stand up for takeoff, dude, in the back, and you have to lean forward like you're on a ski jump.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
You're holding beer like.
Whoever could hang the longest. But
after you've taken your pills.
Yeah. That's one example of like the bubble not being what reality is. If I get on my Southwest flight and right as it's taking off, I run to the back and stand up. That flag's getting grounded. I'm getting arrested.
Yeah.
And I'll be on like TMZ or some shit.
You can, God forbid they walk by and you're on your phone.
Yeah. Seriously.
Before takeoff.
Oh, yeah, and the seat back up, and the tray table. I mean, it was like a circus in there, and we could do whatever we wanted.
Oh, my God. Nobody had a seatbelt on. Guys are walking around, getting drinks. Seats are back.
Wasn't it nice to be done with the game and just on a flight home? Like, good, the game's over. Fuck.
Oh,
yeah. That was a pretty satisfying feeling, especially after a win
feeling.
And you have a couple days off. You're just like, wow.
That was an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Well, after it all ended for you, and I want to touch back on the dragon a little bit, because we all had to go face this dragon. You know what I mean? The loss of our identity playing, coming to grips with everything, who we are outside of this game, what we're going to do about our bodies, which are really broken down. One thing that I'm realizing is, like, when we played in the NFL, when we had an injury, we had doctors putting Humpty Dumpty back together again, like 8 of them, just touching the affected area all day long, hitting it with cold heat, all these things to make us feel better. But when you stop playing, those go away as well. And so maintaining your body, your health, your pain, all that's really hard. And then you got to couple that with, shit, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in life? How have you been able to deal with that transition, and how did you first do it? I know you went into the woods for a while, and what did you see in the woods?
Oh, man, I went to the woods with my wife, and Colette, and we just we fell in love even at a very deep level, and there was very little distractions. I very rarely ever watched football. In fact, I didn't purposely do it, but on Sundays I really didn't care. I never would really pay much attention to anything going on with the NFL, and that was just my way. And when I'm done, I detach in a way, and I want to get away from it and be done with it. But what I saw in the woods was that life is awesome, but definitely got to take care of yourself, especially post-career. What hit me hard in the woods was Junior Seau, and it got me really thinking about, really started what now this all has become with Athletes for Care, and trying to find a way to take care of these guys and to lend that hand was, man, I remember how happy that guy always was, always. And I'd come across him many times and played some amazing games against him. And for him to take his life and like, wow, I could never fathom how someone would be sad after doing what we did. Then it started to hit me and like think, holy shit, I'm in my 30s and I'm having hip surgery, and holy shit, I want to live to be as old as I can and be mobile and active and do things. And it started to hit me like, this game, man, this might not have been such a good idea. Meanwhile, I have great thing, nice places that I can go visit and spend summers, and I get to stay home and be with my kids, and the lifestyle it's allowed me and many around me is amazing. I still gave that thought, like, was this all worth it? And that's when I really realized that it definitely was worth it. Now the key is to take care of myself and own it. Like you said, Nate, own what I did, be super proud of what I did. I don't have to go try to spread the game and make everybody, you got to play football. No, but I love the game and I enjoy it. And I want people to know that, it allowed a young kid from Boise, Idaho that was skinny and tiny, and you never would have thought I would have ever done anything that I did in the NFL. If you'd have seen me when I was 10, I went and achieved a dream. And to be able to do that, you can't tell me one bit that I would give away that time, knowing that the damage I caused to my body is what I have to deal with. I enjoyed it every second of it. I got to meet guys like you, Nate, and form bonds that will last forever, that are tighter than damn near every bond I have with most people in my lives that I've known forever. That bond with the teammate is strong, and I have a lot of those, and I'm thankful for it.
Me too, man. And I wonder, like, how we can try to recreate that, not recreate it, but re-stimulate that need for.
I think doing this.
Yeah,
man.
this is great. I mean, like, Athletes for Care, a lot of what we realized, the way I met Eben was like, we came together around cannabis, but we realized that we were so similar in so many other ways.
Yeah.
And the formation of this podcast was to further kind of that feeling, like, what else is it? What is it that makes us all kind of the same guys in our own way?
Think, you can feel so lost coming out of that life. And, Jake, I totally relate to so much of what you said going into the forest. Guess I really went into the forest in my own way, but I'm still in it maybe. But, just it's such a grieving process. It's such a, you feel so isolated, and then you realize there's other guys out there who are going through the same things, and how much richer our lives really are because of this experience that we had. Mm-hmm. And we're all really brothers, going through this insane potential neurological disease together. And how are we going to do this together, man? We can overcome it. We can find ways to heal ourselves. There are ways to do it. Nate and I last week, we went out to visit this, concussion recovery clinic up in Oxnard. And, it's pretty simple. The things are simple. They have some technology that they use to heal the brain, but really when it comes down to it, it's about connecting back with your community and finding love around you. It's meditating, it's yoga, it's eating right, it's exercising, and it's, living in the moment, is really what it comes down to. And I think as football players, the nature of the game gets us into this fucking mindset, this state of chaos, of like constant chaos where, we need to fill that void at all times with something. Who knows what that is? For every guy it's different, but you're looking for something to shoot up, you're looking for that adrenaline rush, you're looking for to fill that persona of the warrior, the savagery,
and finding a new passion, just something you care
finding
about.
a new passion and realizing you have all these other passions.
Yeah, we got to evolve, man. We got to evolve.
It's a huge
as brothers.
evolution.
We got to evolve from the game to what next, and it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be, like you said, in the moment and make you happy.
Yeah.
And the NFL should pay for it too.
Hell yeah.
Be able to get yoga and whatever the hell I'm doing to be proactive so that I'm not one of their numbers. They should be paying for that shit.
Yep. I agree.
And I don't care that I made millions because I'm not like every player in the league. Nate, you didn't make millions.
No. And my health insurance is gone from them. I'm dipping into the HRA, which I have, but that'll be gone in 5 years,
Guys should be taken care of.
Yeah, develop a lifetime healthcare plan for these 20,000 guys who are all going through this together. You can do that for 20,000 men, A lot of the guys...
Dude. And still be making millions.
Yeah. I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm not going to go unless I absolutely have to.
No.
I don't use my insurance a lot. I medicate with cannabis when I need... Yeah, exactly. I'm a cheap patient.
Cheap, man. We're cheap to take care of.
Yeah, all of us are. We don't want to go through that shit, It's like the things we need is what we need. And actually, that looks good for the NFL to take care of the guys who really, really need it.
Right.
So I guess that's what we got to do is keep spreading that message.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, Jake, what are you working on now? I know you're working on a program called Ready List Pro. What is that?
Yeah, man. Thanks for mentioning that. Remember Chad Freehoff, the big, tall, skinny kid out of Colorado School Mines?
I do.
Yeah, good kid, great kid.
Great guy.
Smart kid, and bounced from the Broncos in 2005 through 9 teams in 7 years.
Wow.
If anybody could learn a playbook, wouldn't you think a Colorado School of Mine graduate would be able to study enough to learn?
Yeah.
Even he struggled with the content the quarterbacks and players are forced to learn in that big 4-inch thick book. So he's developed a way to not only study the playbook in a really awesome, concise manner with every type of learning technique involved, whether it be audio, visual, tactile, seeing a rep, looking at the play, drawing the play, to now going and being tested immediately following your study time to see how much you retain. And if you didn't retain as much as you wanted, take the test again, go back and study more, take the test until you get 100% and up your retention rates by facilitating all learning styles. And we're not only just focusing on football right now, we're moving into lacrosse, to soccer, to hockey, because the knowledge level in all of these sports where every kid in the world's playing youth sports now, and if your son isn't and he's 7, people look at you like you're crazy. I get it all the time. So these youth leagues that are starting up and the knowledge of the coaches and even the players needs to be raised a little by just simple sports, learning the games, learning how to play the games, learning what it takes to succeed in them. And so that's what the Ready List Pro is kind of about right now. And it's been kind of fun getting in contact with old coaches and old players and people to just spread the word on it. I need to show you guys in a demo what it's all about. I think you guys would be definitely good eyes to look at it and give us feedback.
That'd be sweet.
Would you ever get into coaching yourself?
No, I don't like the coaching environment right now. Too much is put on, recruiting all over the world. I just think it's such an intense year-round job now that I wouldn't want it. I had football enough. I like to coach kids individually, quarterback skills. I mean, I worked with Brock this summer, did a couple sessions with him, Brock
cool.
Osweiler. And, if I see something that can help him be a little more efficient, whether he uses it or not, I don't know. But if it's something that he may lean on to help him succeed, then what a great feeling. So I like doing that more than being on a staff and coaching and then again being told, like, what the fuck, you didn't call the right play. And like, yeah, well, they didn't run it right, damn it.
Yeah. I'm definitely reluctant to go back into any system like that. I don't know why.
No thanks.
Yeah. So you are playing handball? Are you doing CBD oil?
Not currently. I kind of strained my back this summer, so I'm rehabbing, getting that back in shape. But handball is a winter sport, pretty much. But here in Boulder, there's 3-wall courts, but it's hard. You have the 3-wall courts on pavement down at the beach there.
Oh, dude, they had this huge tournament the other day on the weekend. They were like grilling food. There was all these dudes, these gnarly old Venice guys who just like are handball pros out there. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, you got to come test yourself against the local Venice crowd, man.
I get my ass kicked, but I'll give them a little something here and there. But yeah, I'm busy with my kids and enjoying my life these days. A 7-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. I'm lucky to have a lot of time to give to them because this moment in time will be gone, and I want to have memories of it that last forever. And if I'm working nonstop and doing all this stuff, then I can't be around them. So I'm selfish sometimes about my time with my family, but it's my right. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
You got a beautiful family. They're all great people. I know your wife well, and your kids are amazing kids. We just want to thank you, man, for coming on today, sharing your story with us. Is there any social media you use that you want to plug?
I'm on Twitter at Snakes Takes.
Cool.
That's about it, really. I don't do much other social media. It's overpowering.
Yeah.
And I don't like being overpowered.
And you know why you don't like it? Because you're a mindful warrior.
Boom.
Yes.
And we appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys. This was awesome. I'll be on anytime you want. We got a lot of topics we could cover.
Definitely.
And I got a lot of thoughts running around. Like you say, Nate, take a mental crap every now and then.
That's
this
right.
is a nice way to get it out.
Poop and scatter. That's what I say. Poop and scatter. All right.
Poop and scatter.
Everybody out there, this is Jed, this is Gus, this is Eben and Nate. We've had Jake Plummer on today. Thanks, everybody. This was The Mindful Warrior.
Thanks for listening to the Mindful Warrior podcast, brought to you by Athletes for Care, a health and wellness resource for athletes of all ages. Don't miss out on Nate's books, Slow Getting Up and Fantasy Man. Be sure to check out BringTheHurt.com, a pain advocacy platform dedicated to alternative healing practices. Visit BeTrueOrganics.com for all of your CBD needs. Use promo code BRITAIN, all caps 10, for a 10% off discount.